Oh my gosh, for $1, we can take this and turn it into something beautiful to grow food in or flowers, and it's food safe. You can't get any cheaper or prettier than this. Let's get this going. So I love buying these trash cans. They're under $1 at Walmart. They're a gallon and a half, and they're only 98 cents. They're made by Sterlite. And best of all, they're made in the United States. Normally I make covers for them. I grow lettuce, all kinds of different plants in them. And they are wonderful, sturdy, and they last good. I have yet to have one break on me. So I am just crazy about these. And being white, I can decorate them any way I want. Here I covered them with fabric, but today we're going to do something completely different. And they are just wonderful and fun to grow in. And the thing is, you can make the greatest planters out of this. It's a really good plastic. It's also number 5, which is a food grade safe. So we could grow vegetables in it, and we can put it on a patio, a deck, or anywhere you want. You can also get them from Dollar Tree for $1.25. They're a little bit shiny, so you may have to rough them up a little bit with a little bit of sandpaper, but they'll do the trick too. They too are a number 5, which is also food grade. So you can get these trash cans wherever you want, and they are fabulous for growing all kinds of small plants in. And I grow tons of lettuce in them. And listen for all the tips on decorating them. Let's go inside and let's go do something to give it a little more pizzazz and color. So let's decoupage this beautiful little trash can that costs less than $1. Now what I'm going to do here is take some fine sandpaper and just lightly sand it. You don't really need to do it because this particular trash can is already rough, but I do it anyways and I wipe it with a paper towel. Now here are some napkins I picked up from Dollar Tree. They look really cute. And I like the idea of the watermelon because, I'm going to be growing vegetable plants in here probably. But you can grow anything. Now, it's a whole watermelon. It's too big for this. We could do half on one side, half on the other. So I'm going to cut a sliver off of this. And I'm going to use half. Now, you would say, why don't I cut on the line? Because I may need some of that color for anything later on. There could be a little, damage to it. I'll have that added color. Now, I could put it on the bottom, but I think I like the illusion of plants growing out of my watermelon. And just my personal preference. You put it on whatever way you want. Now, I like using the Mod Podge that is for dishwasher safe because it's waterproof. And I can leave my pots outside and not have to worry about them getting wet. So now I take a makeup brush. I picked this up at the 99-cent store. And I just put a good coat of the Mod Podge where it's going to lay. I kind of looked at it and I saw where it's going to be. This napkin, you got one chance to do it. Don't worry if you don't put enough because it will soak in. So if you make a mistake, it's art. There's no mistake. It's just the way you did it. So now you kind of start pressing it on, and now you put your Mod Podge on and it will soak into the napkin and go through the trash can, and it will be perfect. So you don't have to worry about it because this isn't magazines or any thick paper. It's very fine paper, like tissue paper. Now I'm a little concerned here because this brand of napkin is bleeding, and I've never seen a napkin bleed. Can you imagine if you were wearing a white dress and you were wiping something off your dress and it turned red? Don't know about that, or your shirt. And I can see that the seeds from the watermelon, the black is bleeding as well. So we've got to be really careful now with this first coat because you can smear it through and you'll have the black on the red, and you don't want that. So if you did it, kind of take your finger and blend it in so it gives a shadowed effect and it won't look like it was bleeding. So now we have to be very careful with that. And make sure you wash that brush really good afterwards because you don't want to leave any paint or dye on your brush. Looks pretty good. I mean, I'm still happy with it, but I'm going to have to be aware that sometimes you can run into napkins that bleed. And this is a first for me. Now I'm wiping off any color that got onto the white trash can. That's all there is to it. Now there is a little blemish there. See that when I was painting? Kind of came loose a little bit. There was maybe a blemish in the napkin. Well, remember the paper I kept? Look at that. I've got the red. So I'm going to tear a very small piece off. Yes, tear. Don't cut it because you want a rough edge. Otherwise, if you cut it, you'll see a straight line that you corrected it. But if you tear it, it will blend in because we've got slight wrinkles in it, which makes it look really cool. And then take your brush and kind of rub it in, and with your finger, rub it in a little bit more until it all blends into the wet napkin, because right now it's still wet. So you can do a lot of stuff and make it forgiving. And look at that. You can't even really see it. Look at that. You fixed your mistake. Or the manufacturer's mistake. Either way, it looks good. Now, if you want, you can go back and you can kind of dab it around if you see any of the ink might have bled a little bit on this. You can push out a little bit. Maybe there's bubbles you don't want. This is decoupaging, so you expect that. This is supposed to look like art. So now you kind of push down a little bit before it dries. Anything that you may want to be a little bit flatter, and then just let it dry. The next time we put a coat on, it shouldn't bleed because now it will seal, and I would wait a good 30 minutes or longer. And put 2 to 4 coats on. Now that we have the first seal on it, it's not going to bleed anymore, so you don't have to worry about it. So give it a 2, 3, even 4 coats if you want, thin, and make sure they dry well in between. I use always the dishwasher safe Mod Podge. Why? It's completely waterproof, so you can sit it outside and nothing's going to happen to it. Now, is that not too cute? Here it is, sitting on the deck. I put 2 together. You don't have to, because this way this one doesn't have holes. It won't drip. The water will catch inside the other one, but you could just put holes in it and plant in it. Now, being so cheap for $1 a piece, what I do sometimes, not always, is I put 2 together. Why do I do that? Because when you separate it, you'll see that the water is going to stay in the bottom one, which is one I decorated here, and this one's got the holes. So if I was sitting it somewhere and I didn't want any water dripping, let's say on my deck or in the house, you could just separate it, tip the water back if you overwatered it, and you're not going to have any drippy water anywhere. But you don't have to do it this way, of course. And as far as making the holes, you know what I love. I love my soldering iron, but you can use a knitting needle. Just hold it over a flame, and then you can push it in the plastic. But the soldering irons literally are just a few dollars. You don't need a fancy one. The cheapest one you can find, plug it in, heat it up. You can unplug it, take it outside because it stays hot for a little bit for plastic, and you can make all the holes you want. You can't get any easier than that. And that's how I make my holes. Make as many holes as you want for your project. And on this rail, I don't have to have water dripping because I've got the 2 together. But most of the time, I'll tell you, I use them singly. It's cheaper, and I don't care where the water goes. And look at that. I've got a celery growing in this, and there's nothing cuter than looking at a watermelon and thinking celery's growing out of it. So I hope I gave you some ideas. And let me tell you something, we're going to do a whole lot more ideas so we can set up plants to grow food in, or something else if you want. And it's going to be cheap and fun, and it will bring a smile to your face. With that, have a wonderful day, and don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye.